Hey guys, it's your boy Wally in here, and today we will be doing a anime review. And so I hope that you guys enjoyed, and I hope that you guys actually do check it out as soon as you get the chance. But with that being said, let's jump right into it. Now, the anime that we will be reviewing today is called Lord Marksman and Vanadis. And I'm quite sure a lot of you guys do not know what anime that is, you've never heard of it, and I do believe it's actually a very underrated anime, and so that's exactly the reason why we will be checking it out. And I hope that by the end of this, you actually do develop a want to go ahead and watch it, and just, you can let me know what you think of it and get back to me in the comments. Now, in this anime, we do have the main character Tigger Vorn, and he's a archer and also the Lord of Alsus, which is a territory which is located in the Kingdom of Brune. Now, the Kingdom of Brune currently is at war with the Kingdom of Zigtid, and basically, what happens in the first scene of the first episode is we do see our main character, Tigger, facing off against a small group of soldiers, and more specifically, a white-haired woman on a horse. Now, the story behind this is that the army of Brune actually went up against the army of Zigtid, and Brune had 25,000 soldiers, while Zigtid only had 5,000 soldiers. So they were basically outnumbered 5-1. And this really didn't matter much to the army of Zigtid, seeing as how they did have the war maiden, Eleonora Viltaria. Now, a war maiden is basically someone who has the right to wield a weapon which is known as dragon gear. And of these weapons, there are 7, and so in total there are 7 war maidens. Now, each war maiden actually has quite a bit of fighting power, and also the dragon gear which they possess is actually quite powerful. And so typically you would find that countries try to get the war maidens at least one within their own country to strengthen their military might. Now, what we do see in that first scene is actually Tigger going right ahead to shoot an arrow at the war maiden, Eleonora, and he fails his attempt to shoot her right off the horse. However, Eleonora does take an interest in Tigger, and the reason for that is due to the fact that even though Tigger is a regular human being, he doesn't have any special powers or anything like that, he does have quite a bit of skill with the bow. And so what we actually learn is that in that first scene where Tigger seemed to do the simple action of just shooting an arrow at Eleonora, it actually isn't that simple. He did go right ahead to shoot an arrow at her, and it was blocked, of course, but he did so over a distance of 300 alsens, and as far as regular humans are concerned, that is not something that the average human being can pull off, and it's even quite a difficult thing to pull off even for the war maidens. And so Eleonora actually did get quite a bit of an interest in Tigger. And so with his assassination attempt failing, he ends up being captured by Eleonora, which she proceeds to, you guessed it, ask for a ransom. And the amount that she asks for is just about the equivalent of 3 times the amount which Alcis makes on a yearly basis, which means there is absolutely no way that Tigger Vermin's territory can pay that ransom amount, and especially due to the fact that Alcis is a territory that's located in basically the middle of nowhere in the Kingdom of Bruin. No one really cares what happens to Alcis or to Tigger Vermin. Now, this is something that Eleonora wanted because of the fact that she sees quite a bit of a potential in Tigger Vermin for him to become even more powerful than he already is, even though he's just a regular human. Now, what we come to find out later on in the episode is that the army of Zicted defeated the army of Bruin, which is wild, right? Because there were 25,000 soldiers from the army of Bruin, while they were facing off against just 5,000 soldiers from the army of Zicted. But that's just how much of a difference a war maiden makes when they're on the battlefield. They're just that much more powerful. So, seeing how they lost the battle, Tigger decides to fire a final "I'm taking you with me" arrow at Eleonora, which is the lead up to that first scene of the first episode that we do see, and that actually is the catalyst for what happens next, which is Eleonora taking an interest in Tigger. Even though his attempt to assassinate her failed, he did proceed to show quite a bit of bravery and skill with the bow, which, like I mentioned before, is something that is quite unheard of in a regular human being. So, with that being the case, Eleonora did capture him and took him as prisoner, upon which she decides to go right ahead to have him train her army in order to become better archers, possibly just as good as he is. Now, with this actually being done, it does cause quite a bit of a problem for Tigger, which shows itself in the form of another lord called Lord Thenardier, who's the son of Duke Thenardier, and they both want to take over Alcis. So what happens is they send their army to Alcis in order to conquer it, and they also go about trying to destroy the town and possibly try to harm the people. And Tigger Vermin does hear word of this from his butler Bertrand, who came along with him on the battlefield. However, Bertrand was not captured. He actually snuck into Eleonora's compound and did inform Tigger of the situation. Now, upon hearing this, Tigger did attempt to escape. However, he was stopped by Eleonora, and what happens next is really quite surprising, because Eleonora offered Tigger some help in the form of lending him a bit of her soldiers, and also she would accompany him in his aid, or in his effort, in order to retake Alcis. Now, with this being the case, we do encounter another of the main characters, or in this instance, the heroine of the story, who would be Tita, and she's actually Tigger Vermin's childhood friend and also his current maid. So Tita is still there at the foreign residence, and she's actually trying to assist all the villagers to escape, while at the same time she decides to stay back and wait for Tigger Vermin to appear there, just so that she can hand him the black bow that has been passed down throughout his family and was last owned by his father. Now, we do see where Tigger does end up arriving in Alsace, and he finds that the army of Lord Thenardier has already infiltrated the city, and they're currently wreaking quite a bit of havoc. Luckily, the villagers have all been moved to a safe place. However, it's just a case that their houses are currently being destroyed and pillaged. Now, with this being the case, we do see Tigger actually trying to get back to the Vorn residence where he lives, and Duke, or rather Lord Thenardier, ends up being there first. He decides to go ahead and assault Tita. Now, luckily, Tita was not, that word, but she was definitely traumatized because Lord Thenardier did cut up her clothes, and what really happened next was quite crazy. Tigger actually shoots an arrow into the palm of Lord Thenardier's hand, and this was the hand he was about to use in order to assault Tita. So Tigger does this in quite the, how should I say, craziest of ways, being as how he did shoot that arrow way beyond 300 alsins away from the residence, which, like I was mentioning before, is unheard of for a regular human being. Now, with that being the case, Lord Thenardier does run away, and he does retreat with his army, and so far, that counts as a small victory for Tigger and Eleonora. Now, Lord Thenardier did come back with 2 dragons along with his army, and this is a bit of a problem for Tigger and Eleonora due to the fact that dragons are known in this world as the strongest of beings, and even the war maidens are no exception to this. They do find quite a bit of difficulty in fighting and defeating dragons. So what ends up happening is that the dragons are set to destroy Tigger and Eleonora and their army. And so Eleonora decides to take on one of the dragons, while the army decides to go ahead and fight the other dragon, as well as the army of Lord Thenardier. Now, this takes place, and the army was definitely keeping the other dragon at bay, and they also did go right ahead to delete Lord Thenardier's army. And seeing this happen, Lord Thenardier decides to run away by taking the other dragon and flying away with it. But what he was not expecting is that Tigger had finally decided to use the black bull that was passed down in his family for generations and was last owned by his father, and this arrow, or this bow, was provided to him by Tita, who was at the Vorn residence trying to, keep that bow from falling into Lord Thenardier's hand. And what we do see happen is something quite astounding, because that bow had so much power that just one arrow shot that was shot from that bow ended up knocking the dragon right out of the sky. Like, this arrow completely destroyed Lord Thenardier and took out the dragon. And with this being one of his first feats, Tigger does go on a path to basically be known as somewhat of a hero, because he later faces off against various armies, all in the name of them trying to hunt him down, seeing and calling him as a traitor because of the fact that he was captured by Eleonora, and he was also training the army of Zicted in order to properly use a bow and arrow. And what we do find is that eventually Tigger comes to be known as Silverash, and what that means is the one who shoots down meteors, which is quite a crazy name, mind you, because of the fact that he actually shot down a dragon with just that black bow and a regular arrow. So it was really something to see. And as the series progressed, we do encounter quite a few of the other war maidens, and we do go into battle against them, and quite a bit of things happen. But by the end of it, we do find that Tigger is later renamed, or rather provided with the title of Lumiere, the Knight of Moonlight. And what that actually means is it's a old reference, or basically a prophecy, in the Kingdom of Brune, which only the current king as well as the current prime minister know of. And basically in that prophecy, everyone who holds that title of Lumiere is later named king of the Kingdom of Brune. So it really is something that is, quite spectacular. It's quite a good anime. I would highly recommend that you guys go ahead and check it out. It really is something that can, keep you entertained, whether it's just for a fun little watch, or if you just wanted to add it to your anime watch list. It's something I would tell you to go ahead and check it out. And yeah, you can just come back and let me know in the comments if you thought it was any good, and if you'd like for me to continue to basically providing you guys with the underrated animes that are actually quite good and don't get as much shine as the mainstream stuff. But for now, this has been your boy Wolian, and I will see you guys next time.